the Icons of Real Estate podcast, the flagship show of the #1 real estate podcast network, where real estate agents come to grow. Whether you're looking to scale your business, expand your network, or stay sharp with insider knowledge, you found your go-to daily dose of real estate gold. Our hosts sit down with the industry's top producers and rising stars, sharing raw stories, winning strategies, and the real lessons that create icons. With over 500 episodes and 70-plus shows in our network, we're not just another podcast. We're your competitive edge in real estate. Tune in, level up. Become an icon of real estate.
Awesome, Gary. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate podcast. And the first question to have for you is the same that we have for every single guest, is that we want to know your story, all right? Don't make this a book. We don't want to sit here all night, but we do want to hear what's your background and where you're coming from to reach here on the Icons of Real Estate studio.
Well, thanks. So first of all, thanks for having me on the show. I hope that this brings value to your listeners. And being an agent and listening to this, I think at the end of this, you'll have some takeaways you can implement in your business right away to help you scale, do better with what you're trying to accomplish in real estate. But my background started in high school, actually. I met my brother-in-law. He was an investor in real estate, and he brought the idea of investing and saving and things like that to my mind. And he was active in real estate at the time. He was talking about the mid-'90s. And then I actually left Indiana. I left Virginia and moved to Northwest Indiana to meet up with him. And I actually started doing some labor for him. I was remodeling some houses as he would get them ready to be relisted and things like that. But I actually found my way into corporate America, where I worked my way up to an executive level from $715 an hour, and was able to advance my career. I won Executive of the Year 8 out of 10 years. I scaled, that part of my life. And then in 2004, I started to get into real estate full time. And I started to buy and hold. I was keeping houses and turning them into rentals. But like many people, 2006 to 2008 did not love me. And I found myself on the backside of bad deals. I was over leveraged. My cash flow was done. They actually reassessed taxes. And since we were 2 years in arrear, escrows were turned upside down, cash flow was gone, equity was gone, and I found myself facing bankruptcy by 2010, 2011, like a lot of people in the real estate world at that time. And it was a struggle, but we persevered. We had a lot of rentals. We ended up having to file bankruptcy that year. And I thought I was just going to focus my life and full-time career and back in corporate America, where I'd been wildly successful and still successful. And God had a different plan for me. I got bit by a tick. I came down with Lyme's disease. I didn't know I had it. It got ravished my body over 6 to 8 months. I found myself having 26 panic attacks a day, very ill, losing a lot of weight. Actually, blood work looked great other than a little infection, but found myself, really, really struggling. Went back to a 5-year-old mental state during that time, wasn't able to leave the house, couldn't drive, had to walk away from my corporate cushy job. And I found myself again struggling to make it. And real estate was the thing I fell back on again. It was something I came back to. I started to have a love-hate relationship with real estate at that point. And I love to hate it is what it was. It was one of those things for me that, it was a have to do. It wasn't because I wanted to. It wasn't because I was chasing the big dream again. I already struggled, already failed in real estate. And so it's not something I wanted to do again, something I kind of had to do because my health was failing. I was able to regain my health. Obviously, I'm back here today and I faced, life-threatening illness with Lyme, but I was able to recover from it. And over a year's period, I was able to get back on my feet, and I had the choice again. Do I go back to corporate America, or do I take my hand into real estate full time? And that was a year I decided to go full-time in real estate. My brother-in-law, I mentioned earlier, I partnered up with him. We went full-time at it together. We were wholesaling, fix and flipping, buying and holding. We even started a brokerage at one point called Harper Realty. And it was doing well. We got to about 300 deals a year. And 2016 came around, and I decided to walk away from real estate again. It wasn't this time because I failed. It was because I had made enough money and I didn't love it. And I had already expressed how much I did love real estate. But in 2016, my phone started ringing. I had joined a bunch of masterminds, And people kept asking me, can you come help me? Can you help me scale my business? Can you help me get more deals? Can you help me close more deals? And I decided to focus on the business aspect of helping people versus the real estate aspect. What I find a lot of times is people are good at real estate, especially in these markets that we're in today. But what they're not good at is letting go. They're not good at building a business. They're not good at structuring the business. They're not good at paying themselves, right? And so they struggle in the area of entrepreneurship, not just real estate. And so, now you fast forward 9 years later, we're coming up on our 9-year anniversary. And we've coached over 4,000 businesses. We're in 9 countries. I've written 6 books. We've had a lot of success, and I give God a lot of credit for that. And looking back on the last 9 to 10 years now, I've seen how my previous journey of corporate America and then this failure and then success again in real estate has come together to create ideal moments for me and knowledge and wisdom to be able to help other people with. And so that's my background. That's my story. I've had some ups and downs, maybe some things in my story that other people can resonate with, but we all struggle, right? We all have health issues or financial issues or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's how we persevere and come through those times and how then we use that wisdom to be able to help other people.
And thank you for sharing, Gary. And I think a lot are going to resonate with the love and hate relationship that you have with real estate coming and going. Kind of like a toxic romantic relationship.
I'll tell you, go back. Always use the word I love to hate it, right? Just love to hate real estate.
Exactly. Man, what a story, and great to have you here today. And you just touched point on something that real estate agents do struggle with, which is actually looking themselves in the mirror and seeing a business owner. Most of them, they're still stuck with the idea that, I'm working for somebody else. And what they're doing, I'm just selling a house. I need to sell one more. And they don't see the whole picture. They don't see that they're building a business. Like, how important is this, even just self-evaluation that, hey, you actually are a business owner to you? And how do you come across on your communication with agents to make them aware of what they have in their hands?
Well, I mean, because here's at the end of the day, when you have an employee mindset versus an owner entrepreneur mindset, it changes your drive, it changes your push, right? And you go from being somebody who has to do it to somebody who wants to do it. And I want to employ, I want to worker, I want to entrepreneur is someone whose productivity drives higher, right? Productivity goes up 34% when somebody wants to do it versus has to do it. And when we have that employee mindset, we have the mindset of we're doing it for somebody else. We have to do this. And the truth is, it's nothing different than like going out and starting a Papa John's or a Subway or a Jimmy John's, right? Like you are to some degree accountable to somebody else, right? But at the same time, you are building your own thing. And so like a franchise is kind of what I like to look at as when somebody's, in case they're creating their own brokerage, they're kind of franchising off that brokerage to provide services of a business to the general public. And so you have to make that mindset shift, right? You have to make the mindset shift of like, I'm not working for somebody else. I might be accountable to somebody else. And that's okay. It's okay to be accountable to somebody else. But your results are going to come 100% off your effort. Nobody's going to work for you. Nobody's showing up to do it for you. And you have to be able to do it yourself. And the mindset of working to build something for you is a much different mindset than being an employee for somebody else.
Yeah, and accountability can go a long way, but ownership is always going to top it, right? And you were inspired to build your own business framework and trademark it, right? Like RISE. I don't know if you pronounce it to rise or not, but can you tell us a little bit about it and how does this apply to real estate?
Well, the RISE business framework is a framework that I developed after being in corporate America for those many years and then building my own successful entrepreneurship. I'll be honest with you, one of the hardest things to do, and you'd think this would be easier, is to go from a corporate world, Fortune 500, to a small business, because everything's already in place in a corporate business. You have the KPIs and the trends and the industry information and benchmarks, and you have, information about what's worked before and what processes are already in place and what good leadership needs to look like and how we lead and what the vision is. And all those things are kind of handed to you in a corporate world. And although you can build very successful leadership in corporate world, it's hard to go from a successful leader in corporate to being your own leader. And honestly, the loneliness of it is a big thing too. One thing about agents is it can feel very lonely at times, right? Like, who do I call and who do I brainstorm with and who do I pick the brain of and that kind of thing. It can feel lonely. And so when you own your own business, you're kind of feeling like you're on an island. And so having a framework to be able to resemble a well-designed corporate business is something that I don't think a lot of entrepreneurs have a lot of training in. So I wanted to create the Rise Business Framework to be able to help entrepreneurs, especially people in real estate, to be able to scale from just self-employment all the way to business ownership and the success of business ownership. And so the Harper Business Review said there's 5 phases of every business. Doesn't matter what kind it is. It doesn't matter. It's niche agnostic. It's just there's 5 phases. There's a first phase, which is startup, right? This is the phase that we have a passion, we have a product, and we can make profits, right? If we have a passion, we want to help somebody find their home or sell their home. And then we find the product. The housing market is available and it's thriving and we have product to sell. Obviously, it's a little bit harder to do when the market's not working as well, you don't have as much product. But then you can see how you can make profits. You can be paid a commission to grow your business. And so that's what helps somebody say, okay, I'm going to jump into this. Once they're into it, though, they find themselves stuck, especially as an agent, because you have to evaluate 3 things: time, money, and people. And one of the things I think there's a limiting belief on with agents is that they don't think that it's more than them, that their business is just them. Well, I'm the one with the license. I'm the only one who can sell the house. But that's not true, is it? Right? Like, you're the only one that can sell the house, but you can have somebody help you close the house. You can have somebody help you, overcome title issues. You can have somebody help you, evaluate the property. You can have someone pull the comps for you. You can give a secretarial access to somebody to help you with copying and CMAs and BPOs and things like that. So, like, you can have people come into your team to help take things off your plate, right? And that is a very smart way to start off when you're an agent, is looking at it and say, where should I spend my time? Where's the best use of my time? How much money do I plan to make every month, and how much money do I plan to keep? How much is it going to cost me to run this business, a business pro forma? And then, who do I need? Who are the people I need to help me get to the next level, to help free me up? And that's stage one. That's stage one is resources, time, money, and people. The next thing that we need to do if we're going to scale our company and go into stage 2, which is that grinding stage, right, is now we're starting to really put a lot of time in building the company, is we have to then inspire. We have to be inspired ourselves, right? We have to also inspire the people that we want on our team. So that's the I quadrant of Rise, is how do we inspire, which includes what are your goals? What is your vision? Where do you plan to be in 1 to 3 years? What's your purpose for this company? What's your personal purpose? Is this company's purpose helping you achieve your personal purpose, right? And what are we trying to do in the next 90 days to 1 year to achieve those goals? What are our commitments for this next quarter? Maybe there's training that you need to get through. Maybe there's a hire that you need to make. Maybe there's a certain amount of marketing that you need to do better. And you need to open up more opportunity for leads. And those are the things we have to do. We have to understand what's going to move the needle and what's going to inspire us, inspire our people. And I always tell people that the purpose is very important in inspiration. You have to define what your purpose in life is, and then also what your company's purpose is, because they're not the same. But your company's purpose should help you achieve your said personal purpose. And if it doesn't, then you're not going to be inspired. If your company purpose doesn't help your employees achieve their personal purpose, they're not going to be inspired. And then we go back to the mindset of having to do this work versus wanting to do it. And so that's really important in the inspiration quadrant to get to the company to the next level, is you have to, 1, have the right resources. You have to be spending time in the right areas. You have to have a financial projections and knowledge of what you're going to spend and what you're going to make. And then you have to define who are the right people to work for you. But then you have to inspire yourself. And then you have to inspire the people around you. The Bible even says where there's no vision, the people perish. So our people need vision, right? We need vision. We need hope. That's what vision is. Vision gives us hope. Long-term vision gives us hope and inspires us. Short-term vision drives the results of your organization and gets those results into the company. And once we do that and we do it well, then we move to systems, right? Because the S quadrant is important to be able to let go. We have to have a system to let go properly, right? If we don't have a system, then things are going to be chaotic. They're going to fall apart. What are systems? Systems aren't like the operating system we use on our computer that we're using to operate and talk today, the operating system of Zoom or Riverside or any one of these programs. Those are systems. But what I'm talking about in your company, your system, is how you do things. It's your processes, your procedures, it's your policies. And you have to have those things documented. You have to have those things out of your head and on paper so that other people can do them the way you want them done. Processes are very important because they document the rule. They document the steps in which this has to get done every single time. And then you, once you have your systems documented, your process, your procedures, your policies, it gives you freedom to be able to delegate and get those things off your plate onto somebody else's, knowing that they're going to do them the right way. But a part of the system is the KPIs and knowing what KPIs you need to track. And I have built in Rise 4 types of KPIs. And this is one of the biggest things that sets Rise apart from other systems. And it's the 4 KPI system. And the first KPI that we want to start with measuring, you should start with measuring in your own company, is your purpose. You know, we all create these BHAG goals. We all create these purpose, drives. Like my purpose is to do a good work that supports God's work. That's a great purpose. But what we don't do and what causes us to lose desire and lose passion for what we do is we don't measure it. And when we don't measure our purpose, it falls apart. We lose focus on it. And so I created the first KPI called a key purpose indicator. So for your purpose, whatever it is, maybe it's helping people. Well, how many people? Maybe it's giving to God's work. Well, how much are we going to give? Maybe it's rejuvenated the community. How many houses are you going to rehab? Like that is a purpose indicator that helps you measure if you're on the path to achieving your purpose and why you did this. And so we start there. What is a purpose? While we measuring it, and then we build down into the next KPI or set of KPIs, which is the profit indicators. How much money do we need to make in order to fulfill our purpose? If you're going to give, I'm going to give $2.6 million to God's work. I got to make $26 million to get 10%. So that's my profit indicator. So how am I going to give this purpose the fuel that it needs to get to where it needs to be? And profits do that. Profits give us the fuel for our purpose. So the first thing is purpose indicators. Second thing is our profit indicators. Our third thing that we're building down into, now we know our purpose and what we're going to measure. We know our profits and how much money we need to make. Now we got to figure out how do we need to perform. What's our key performance indicators that we have to get results for every week in order to make the results compound up to the profits and the profits compound up to the purpose? So how many closings do you have? How many showings do you have to go? Right? Those are weekly numbers that we should be measuring to make sure we're getting the results that we need to get. And then the last one, probably the most important number that we should be tracking because it protects all 3 of the others, which is the daily process indicator. Every company, every person should have a process indicator that they measure. Every single day, how many leads did you get? How many comps did you run? How many BPOs did you do? How many CMAs did you do? These are daily numbers that we know that when we do these things, they compound to performance. And performance compounds to profits. And profits compounds to fulfilling your purpose. And so when you build down, if you do it properly, you get down to that daily number, and you do this right, that daily number is so important because if we compound that every single day, we get the results. Let me give this as a practical way, and this will resonate with anybody listening, not just an agent. I lost 130 pounds in the last 2 years, right? And I had to start at some point with, why do I need to lose weight? What's my purpose for losing weight? I was having grandkids, and it hit me one day. I'm like 320 pounds. I'm not healthy. I'm pre-diabetic. I started having an autoimmune problem. I really am not in a good place. I'm 45 years old, not healthy. I wanted to be around to see my grandkids get married one day. I'm not that old. I'm 45. In 20 years, I'm going to be 65. That's still young. My grandkids will be 20 by the time I'm 65 years old. And so I thought to myself, what is my purpose? Well, my purpose is longevity. How do I get the longevity? How am I going to get that result of it? Well, I want to live past the average death age of a man in America, which is 72.5 years. So I'd love to live to 80. So my purpose indicator will be 80. So let's push to 80. Well, what do I need to gain in order to get there? Well, I need to gain health. I need to gain healthy blood work. I need to gain healthy blood results. So every quarter I go in and I get my blood tested and I check it and see where's my hormones at and where's my, my white and red blood cell count, and what's my testosterone, and like all those things that tell me that I am healthy enough to continue to live towards longevity. The next thing that I did is I had to build down in my performance. I had to look at the scale every week, bro. I had to get on the scale and realize whether or not I was gaining or losing weight. I had to look at whether or not I was getting results. I had to look at the app every week and see if my muscle mass was improving, if I was lifting more, right? I had to see if I was getting the results that I needed to get in order to gain my blood work and live longevity. But then the most important metric was the daily numbers. It was my macros. How much protein did I eat today? How many carbs did I have today, right? How many calories did I eat? How many fat grams did I have? Also, I had to track how much water did I intake. What did I get 100 ounces of water? How many steps did I take today? Those are all the things that every day I try to get 10,000 steps in. Every day I want 170 grams of protein. Every day I want 100 carbs. Every day I want 75 grams of fat. Every day I want to drink 100 ounces of water. Why? Because I know that those are the daily process indicators that tell me the process is working and I'm working the process. And that the compound effect of that's going to lower the scale, it's going to improve my blood work, and then I'm going to get longevity. And so just to make it practical, a system is very important to have, especially for an agent, to keep them accountable to themselves and getting them pushing to the results they need. And so we have a process, procedures, and policies. We have KPIs, and then we need good communication. We need good meeting structure. So part of the systems is developing the right meeting structure and cadence for you and your employees, and also the people you work with. And then if we do those things right, we're sustainable, right? We're a healthy organization. And what we do at that moment is we ETR it. We've earned the right now to go to the E quadrant. And the E quadrant is the expansion quadrant. That's the engagement quadrant. And in engagement, that's where we're building your personal brand. That's where we're building your company's brand. That's where we're building your message and your advertising. And we're taking what's working and we're starting to expand on it. We're taking and starting to test what's been working at this point and grow the organization. And that's how we get a company from startup to scale. And that's what we've done now. We're 4,000 times. And it's worked beautifully for the entrepreneurs that we've been able to help. And they've had great results with it. And so we're excited about being on the podcast today because we want to share that with the world. We want the world to see how you can go from a corporate job or working for yourself all the way up to business ownership. Robert Kiyosaki led the charge for us, right? He said there's 4 quadrants. There's the E quadrant, there's the self-employment quadrant, E quadrant employee, self-employment quadrant, the business owner, and then investor. And that's the ultimate goal, I think, of everybody, is get to a point where we can create enough passive income to enjoy our life and give back to help other people.
And you have a beautiful purpose there to build that on, and thank you for explaining the full framework. As I was listening, I was even like trying to apply it to my own business, like almost completely, even taking some notes myself. And I was thinking, like, what does come into some of the agents' mind when they go through this? I think one thing to mention is that they're closer in contact with all of this options and decisions, right? As you were giving the option, it was like, oh, comparing to being an agent or having a Papa John's, right? But having a Papa John, there's so many more resources that you need to consider, right? With real estate agent, like the scope is so much more within you. But yeah, this was just my interpretation. The one thing that I want to ask you, and probably you have some experience with that, Gary, because I've seen that happening, is that what if people don't know their purpose? Is that something that people come up to is like, hey, Gary, I don't know my purpose? And you send them on a trip to Peru to take ayahuasca? Or like, what do agents do when they don't know their purpose?
So strike it just from the agents. It's just about everybody that I come in contact with. It's saddening to me to think that people walk through life without an actual North Star to what they're trying to achieve. And I think to some degree they may know it in their heart, but like to have it on paper, to be able to focus on it, to drive at it, to make sure that they're achieving it. That's a powerful thing. And I think we have to get to a point where everybody, included, know their purpose so that we can align better. And that's one of the beautiful things is when someone knows their purpose, I share mine with you. You know what happens when I share my purpose? People attract to it. They go, well, I want to be part of that. I want to be part of a purpose like that. I can feel myself being attracted to that. And so that's how I built my company in a lot of ways is I over communicate my purpose so that people can say, hey, I want to be part of that. And so I've attracted people to call my team. Now, when people come up to me and answer a question and say, hey, Gary, how do I discover my purpose? Where does that come from? Well, let me tell you the story. I was 11, lost everything. I filed bankruptcy. I was sitting in front of a doctor, just very similar to the way I'm sitting right now. He looks at me and he says, Gary, I figured out, I think, what's wrong with you. And I said, what's wrong with me, doc? I said, because everybody just keeps giving me Xanax. Everybody thinks I'm fine. He's like, no, actually, you're not. You have Lyme's disease. You know, we got to figure out when you got bit by a tick. I'm like, I know exactly when I got bit by a tick. It was in May. It was like 3 weeks before I started getting sick. He's like, you didn't tell me. I said, yeah, I didn't think about it. I've been bit by thousands of ticks in my day. I said, he said, where did it bite you? I said, right in the back of my neck. He says, oh, yeah, I got a scar right there. I said, yeah, it didn't heal up very well. He was like, yeah, well, let's get some x-rays. He did some x-rays. He came back and he said, you know, you have ruptured disc. And the spirochetes from the Lyme, from the tick, actually went through your spine and got into your brain and your heart. And he says, it's everywhere. It's all throughout your system. He says, and you're not in good shape right now, to be honest with you. He says, you maybe have 6 months left to live. We can't get this under control if they can't get the infections under control. And man, I'll tell you, I sat there at 35 years old, my head in my hands, tears running down my forearms. And I remember thinking to myself, after being highly successful, by the way, outside of real estate, corporate America, I'm very successful. And I had tears running down my forearms, and I thought to myself, oh, dear God, what did I do with my life? What did I do with my time? And you know what? The moment hit me is like, what is my purpose? Like, why was I put here on this earth? What was I meant to accomplish? Man, if I have 6 months left to figure this out and accomplish it, I started having a little bit of anxiety. I started having this mortality motivation kicking in and going, I've got to get there. If I'm going to leave this earth, I've got to fulfill my purpose before I leave. And I don't think it's something you think about every day until that doctor says, or you find out, or somebody close to you dies, and you start to think, I wonder if they did what they were meant to do here. And so I found, and I made a promise to God. I said, God, if you'll give me my life back, I will help other people figure this out. And that's how the whole journey started. It started from that conversation with my doctor. And I remember walking away, and obviously I had to heal, and my brain had to heal. A lot of things were going on. But as I started to get healthier, my cognitive function started to improve, and I started to get my energy back, I started to read again. And I read 3 books. The first book I read was Purpose Driven Life. Great book. I also read Intentional Living by John Maxwell. Also a good book. And then Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And later on, The Heroes on a Mission by Donald Miller. And all these books talk to purpose, and they talk to how purpose is important. But I was still left a little confused on it, to be honest with you, when I was done. And I had taken a lot of notes. But then it hit me one day. I feel like it was divine. I feel like God gave this to me. And he said to me, he says, Gary, purpose comes from your life. And it comes from 3 areas of life. The first area of life that purpose comes from is your past. We all have a past. But what does our past give us? It gives us an experience, right? We can look back at the experiences we had, the interactions we had. And we evaluate each one of those experiences with, did we like it or did we like it? I told you earlier, I have a love-hate relationship with real estate, right? Why? Because my experience with it hasn't always been great. Now it is now. I make a lot of money. I've made a lot of money with real estate. But what it taught me was it gives us our passion. Our past gives us our passion. It gives us our love for things. And so when we evaluate our life, when we evaluate the past, the first thing you want to write down is, what do I love to do? What am I passionate about? So the second area of life that gives us our purpose, and it's not just the first, right? You say, well, I'm passionate. That must be my purpose. Nope, that's not. We're not done yet. Second thing is the present, right here, right now. What gift do you have? What talents do you have? What experiences do you have that you can use to help other people with? There are people in this world that could use your help. What could they benefit from? What talents or gifts could you give back to your world? And write that down. That's the second question. The third question comes from the future. So the past, the present, the future. The future is different. The future is not anything that we can look at and say we've done that before. The future isn't like will we have more gifts in the future. We have to look at the future and evaluate, what do we want to be remembered for? When this whole thing's said and done, and someone walks by your coffin and they see you laying there in that casket, and they look down and they say, I'm sure glad that person lived their life. What are they going to remember about you? What's a eulogy speech that they're going to write about? because it's got to get written. And here's the thing I find is that when I have been at funerals, and I've been to a lot lately as I get older, funerals, I see more end than beginnings. Find that eulogy speeches are written, but if they're either written by the way the person lived their life, or they're written by people that, and it's sad. It's sad when somebody else has to write your eulogy speech. And so that's what I'd like for the people to write down and take away from this. If you don't know your purpose, number one, take time and think about what you'd love to do, your past. What are you passionate about? Write it down. Number two, what gifts do you have that the world could benefit from? Write that down. And number three, what do you want to be remembered for? In a sentence or less, what would you want someone to say about you when this is all done? And within those three things, within that framework, and you can take those three answers and go chat GPT right now and type them in. Help me formulate a purpose statement with these three answers, because the three answers are prompts. They're prompts for your purpose. And so you write that down, you put it in chat and say, help me formulate a purpose statement based on this. And keep playing with it. And I tell everybody, it takes anywhere from 30 seconds to 30 years to build your purpose statement, all right? And it really can change. So that's how I would encourage someone to discover the purpose. What are they trying to accomplish in life? And if you've done this before and you understand what it is, check on it. Check on your purpose. I find that your purpose can change. You know, early on when people would ask me, like, does your purpose in life change? I'm like, I don't think so. But now as I've grown older and I've coached over 4,000 businesses and helped over thousands and thousands of people, man, I'll tell you, I definitely do think your purpose changes. And when I'm looking at the framework of the past, the present, and the future, I'm like, which one of those things change that causes us purpose to change? And I think about the future, and I'm like, people don't usually say they want to stop being a good dad. They don't usually say they want to stop being a good citizen, or they don't usually say they want to stop loving God. People don't usually look at their past and go, I don't love that anymore, right? They don't usually look at their past and go, that was a great experience 20 years ago, but that's not a good. I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I'm just saying that's not common. And then the third one, though, is the present. And this is the moment that I found that causes our purpose to change. People's gifts change every day. The wisdom, the knowledge. Man, I tell you, you've probably grown after 600 episodes or whatever. You've probably grown on a personal level more than anybody that you know that doesn't do podcasts. Why? Because you're learning every time you do a podcast. I always say statements close the mind, questions open the mind. And on a podcast, you're asking a bunch of questions. And all that does is open your mind to learning new gifts. And you could walk away today with the gift of learning your purpose and go help 100 people with it. And what happens when that gift is applied to your life is your purpose might shift. You might actually want to achieve or do something different in this moment, because now you see with this gift I can do and help more people. And so I tell people to check on your purpose every year. If you're feeling downtrodden, if you're feeling burnt out, if you're feeling like this doesn't matter anymore, and we get there, right? If you're feeling like you just don't get the energy from it anymore, you're feeling like real estate is just not your thing anymore, then check your purpose. And then if your purpose is still there and it's still alive and it's still working for you, then check what you're doing in life and say, what am I doing that's not helping me achieve this? Because that's what burnout is. Burnout is when we don't see it. That's why the Bible says where there's no vision, what? People perish. Why? Because they don't have a vision. They don't have a purpose. They don't have hope. And without purpose, we lose hope.
And that's some powerful stuff right there. Check your purpose. So please, everyone, do check your purpose. I'm going to get out of here to write my eulogy speech already. With still 27 years old. I'll see what that looks like. And yeah, Gary, that was some great takeaways. Takeaways that you can actually put it into practice today. And not that like, oh, I'm going to do it. No, like everything that Gary here was telling us about, like quick question and answering with ChatGPT on the side to help you formulate things. You can do it right now, right? And I appreciate that, Gary, on how open you are and straightforward as well to the case. Of course, everything that we talked about the resources and inspirations and systems and expansion, it things that it can take years, but you can start thinking about it now, and you can start building the framework right now. And Gary, thank you so much for teaching me and teaching us your framework and everything you had to say about purpose and about us writing our eulogy speech before we die. So just tell us, Gary, how can people get a hold of you if they want to actually even put your learnings into practice and even learn more from you?
I tell people, I give all our teaching away. I give it away for free. You can go to Rise Infinity, get it there. You can go Sharper. You can go to sharperbusiness.com for our website. You can go on my TikTok channel, my Instagram, my YouTube. Just search Gary Harper. I give it all away, right? I do. Here's why. It's because I've made enough money in my life. I'm in a stage of life now that I want to give stuff away. You know, what we charge for is coaching. We don't charge for teaching. Teaching's free. Knowledge is abundant. But wisdom, experience isn't. And so, like, if you want have somebody that's going to counsel you, coach you, give you wisdom, then reach out to us at Sharper Business. If you want information, then follow us on all our platforms. You know, go to our website, go to Rise Infinity. Tons of information, tons of teaching. That stuff's free, but wisdom isn't. So that's how you find us. And I hope today brought your listeners value. I hope it brought you value, to be honest with you. I want to say this.
You did?
You're never too young for this, right? You're never too young. At 27 years old, I got a call one morning, and when my brother-in-law had left that morning, got on his motorcycle, and he went to sleep that night in heaven. He wasn't with us anymore at 28. And so, like, it wasn't hard for people to get up and explain who that man was and what he was and what he accomplished starting in life, because he embodied his purpose and what he wanted to accomplish. And he was very well missed and very well known because of it, because he was so purpose driven. So no matter your age, right? Whether we're 65, 75, even 80, purpose can still be a part of our life's journey. I'll end on this. I'll tell you, the retirement, the whole retirement thing for people was something that was, you know, forced upon Germany. Germany actually decided to force retirement. And retirement, I find that the average person who retired doesn't live very long. Their lifespan is under 5 years, if you look it up. But, you know, there are other cultures that don't have the word retirement at all in their vocabulary. They have words that mean a purpose to get up every morning, a purpose to rise. And I'll tell you, I think we stop thinking about the future and we stop thinking about a purpose and trying to achieve something. I think we mentally and emotionally start to die a little bit. And I think our body follows suit not too long after that. So keep your purpose in front of you. Stay inspired. Stay young. I think our purpose keeps us young.
Awesome, Gar. And then turn your purpose into profits as well. And the same back again. And yeah, thank you, Gary. Thank you to everyone that is listening. We're signing off right now, and we'll see you guys next week.
Loved what you heard? Subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow agents. It helps more agents find the show and tells us what you want more of. And hey, want to get featured on multiple podcasts like Icons, or even find epic guests for your podcast? Check out The Hub, the ultimate guesting platform in real estate. Link in the description. Catch you next time. Keep crushing it out there.